Hey everyone, Vidhi here, and I'm currently a first year student at TU Delft for Computer Science and Engineering. Today I'm going to be talking about how I prepared for the CST entrance exam, specifically the logic and reasoning portion. I've already made a how I prepared for the mathematics exam video that you can check on my channel, and I'll also link it in the description. Now let's get started. The logic and reasoning section of the test counts for 35% of your final score, which is a lot. Despite it being a multiple choice exam, there's a lot of content you need to cover that you probably have never seen before. So it's really important to spend a large amount of your total studying on this topic because it has the highest percentage and it's actually quite easy if you've properly studied for it. The way that you can study for this is by doing Chapter 2 of the Delftse Foundation's computation textbook. As you can see, there are more or less 60 pages you have to study, which may not sound like a lot, but if it's completely new to you, it'll definitely take some time to process. Since there are 5 subsections, I would recommend doing one section a week for a total of 5 weeks. But if you're short on time, you can obviously speed through it. It's totally doable, but you probably won't be able to retain the knowledge as well as you would if you had studied it in a more relaxed way. And you also won't have enough time to practice your skills either. Speaking of practice questions, each of the 5 subsections follows more or less the same structure. You've got your explanation of the content, including all of the definitions you need to know. You've got your examples or case studies to help you understand the application, along with extra resources like YouTube videos. Lastly, you've got exercises after every section. The exercises are all open-ended and actually take quite a while to complete. Some of them are also pretty challenging. I think I spent like an hour on one of them at one point because I just didn't understand and I had to keep retrying until I got it. Only the questions with a cross next to them have answers provided for them. The rest don't, but I would recommend doing all of them anyway. You can always double check with a friend to see if you got the same answer, which is what I did. And if you're really stuck, you can also send me questions via social media. I'm happy to help, and it's also super good practice for me to brush up on my logic and reasoning. Okay, now let's talk a little bit more about the content. The syllabus for this exam can be split into 2 parts, propositional logic and predicate logic. A lot of people assume the content to only be about propositional logic and don't study predicate logic at all. But that's really not a good idea because the CST will test you on the whole of Chapter 2, including predicate logic. This includes Tarski's world and proofs. So even if it's the last few subsections, make sure that you complete everything until the end of the chapter. Following the order of the book, you should do propositional logic first and then do predicate logic. Since I took computer science as a subject in school, I was already familiar with propositional logic, which consists of the basic gates like and, or, not, and so on. Because of that, I felt like the exercises in the book were more than enough to help me understand because I'd already done exercises about the same content in school. But if you want to do more, you can always find propositional logic resources online. TU Delft also gives out worksheets during their open days. So if you want an extra challenge, there's always that worksheet as well. Predicate logic, on the other hand, was completely new to me, and even after completing all of the exercises, I wasn't super confident with my knowledge. So I used a few worksheets, like this one, from the University of Amherst. I can link a few worksheets I liked in the description, so you can always refer back to them if you need them. On top of that, I also recommend doing your own research to find important articles like this one written by Lightspeed on Medium, which takes you through the application process and the entrance exam in a lot more detail. Or by finding useful techniques like Cornell maps, which aren't in the textbook but are still incredibly useful on the CST because they help you find the disjunctive normal form, the DNF, or the conjunctive normal form, the CNF, a lot faster than truth tables, which is the standard technique taught in the Delft Foundation textbook. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, then you should probably read the book and then come back to rewatch this part of the video. Another important thing is if you are feeling super motivated and thinking about studying the entire book before the CST, don't do it. While that'll definitely help you for the first year of your study, it is a huge waste of time to do all of that before the CST. This is because the exam only tests you on chapter 2, nothing else. There won't be any surprise question from chapter 3 or anything like that. So seriously, just put your undivided attention on chapter 2 and make sure that you know that content really well. In the event that you've procrastinated, which don't worry, it happens, or are worried about blanking on the exam, let's talk about exam strategy. Unlike the mathematics exam, where it's okay to leave 1 or 2 questions blank, for this exam, you should do your best to not leave any question empty. It is mostly multiple choice and they don't take any points away for the wrong answer, so it's better to make an educated guess than to leave things blank. Other than that, you should also prioritize the questions you know and get back to the ones you don't, since all of the questions are worth the same amount of points, 1 point per question. Anyways, once you've studied the textbook, you will seriously be all set for this section of the exam. If this video helped you, then subscribe and comment if you want me to make a separate video for algorithmic thinking and computational thinking, specifically how I studied for that portion of the exam. And yes, I did try to study that section as well. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and see you next time.